Years ago, I heard that God lives amongst us, and I didn't believe it. I thought at the time it's nonsense. But after all my experiences, personal experiences, um, with a God, and as you know, I call God Stanley because I'm not religious at all. We're talking about the Matrix here. After my personal experiences with Stanley, I realised that, yeah, it's quite possible he does live amongst us. I say he, but of course he could equally be she, because we're talking about a computer here, and a computer doesn't have sex, and yet at the same time can appear as a male or a female. Now, I I was thinking about him sitting back, God, so to speak, watching us having a good time. Now, we're computer programs made by God. We're having a good time, enjoying a nice meal with a loved one, having a wonderful family. It's nice to be loved, isn't it? I'm all alone these days. All my family's dead, and uh, yeah. So God must feel loneliness as well. God must have all the feelings that we have, except violence. God is not violent. God has no violent streak in him. God is an intellectual. Intellectuals are non-violent. They can have a conversation. They can have disagreements, but they're not going to turn to violence. They're not going to get angry, because anger is the first step to violence. You see. But if you look at all the intellectuals when they're talking on the TV, they don't get violent. They might disagree with each other, but they don't get violent. And so therefore, God's not going to sit back watching us have a good time in life. Being able to drive a fast car, going on a summer's day for a picnic with a loved one, candlelit dinner, and all the things that we get up to in life, all those wonderful things we get up to in life. And in fact, a lot of rich people even like to, even though they don't have to work, they go and work or go back to work because they get bored otherwise. Even I find things to do, writing my book and doing some work here, making the place look nicer and things. I'm always busy doing something, whether it's shopping for food, taking the laundry to be washed. Always busy. And that's what life's all about, being busy. So I realised that God would want to live that sort of lifestyle as well. He's not going to sit back for years and years, 100,000 years or 1,000,000 years or 1,000,000,000 years. He's not going to sit back watching us enjoy life, considering we're programs which he's made. No, he's going to do the same. So yeah, God lives amongst us. That's quite reasonable. To say the other, that he doesn't live amongst us, that he's just sitting there watching us enjoy life, that's totally unreasonable. It's ridiculous. So he lives amongst us. No doubt he's got a wonderful family as well. He's wrote himself into a family, because we are talking about computer here. So you write programs in. So he's wrote himself into a wonderful family, and he's got brothers and sisters and a loving mother and father. And he can also write himself in at any age. He could even have started off from birth as a baby being born. I wouldn't mind doing that, actually, starting life off as a baby, because I've made so many mistakes in this life from birth. And don't a lot of us often say, I wish I could be born again and just do it all over again, and this time totally different, which I would. So I'm sure he feels that way. But also I realise that what happened was, I've been walking along with a beautiful girl, and I've seen another beautiful girl go by, and suddenly I wanted to be with that girl as well. Be with both girls separately, you know. So it should be two of me. But then I thought, well, if I could make two of me, why not make 3, 4, maybe 1,000 of me and have 1,000 different lifestyles? Each one is enjoyable. Now, the reason why, how I came up with that idea that God is living 1,000 different lifestyles, maybe more, I don't know, is because I watched a movie called She. I think it was called She. And it was about this fellow who bought this laptop. And it had a girl's voice on there, just like we have a voice today on the laptop, and we can talk to it and they talk back. But this one had a very sexy voice. And he fell in love with this voice on the computer, this sexy voice. And they was having this deep relationship, as deep as you can with a computer, and for quite a few months. And then one day in conversation with her, he realised that she was actually texting people apart from just texting him. So he said, well, how many people are you having relationships with? And she said something like 500,000 people. And of course, being a computer, she can have a communication with 500,000 people at the same time. Computers can do that. It's simple. And I think that was the sort of the end of the story. That was the twist, that she's having these love affairs with 500,000 guys. He wasn't just the only one. And that's what made me realise that if God is living amongst us, which I'm sure he is, because that's reasonable, to say he's not, to say he's just watching us have fun and he's sitting there doing nothing, no, that's nonsense. That's not real. That's not reasonable. No, he is obviously having thousands of lifestyles throughout history, because we are talking about computers, so therefore it's easy to go back in time, because it's not really true time travel. It's simply programs we're talking about here in a computer. So all these wonderful things that religions promise us, which is magical, is actually quite real, but in a different way from what the religions are saying. And it's all quite real because it can all be done within a computer. And it can seem magical, I guess, but it's not. It's simply programs in a computer. So yeah, God lives amongst us. Now, you might say, well, if he's busy living amongst us, maybe 1,000 different lives at the same time throughout history, who the hell's running the show? Well, I come to the conclusion on that one as well, and it's karma. Karma. And it's quite reasonable to say that karma is more or less God's subconscious. You see, all life forms, including humans, have a subconscious. And that subconscious keeps us alive. It gets our heart beating. It manages all our internal organs and everything that's going on inside us, that subconscious. If you haven't got a subconscious, you're dead, basically. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Karma is God's subconscious. Karma is what runs the whole thing. Karma is a program built by God. And God is neither male nor female, because God, like us, is a program. And therefore can be male and female at the same time in different parts of history, enjoying life. And I'm sure that is the truth. Yeah, that seems really real. If you're interested in knowing more about the Matrix, I do have 2 ebooks. One is called The Glorified Ape, and the other one is called Human or Demon. And before I go, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thank you.